Welcome back. You're watching ED Inside. As companies expand at breakneck speed to grab opportunities, putting growth over oversight and compliance, they're on the risk of becoming soft targets for their criminally minded employees. But the question is, how much oversight is too much, and is it at all possible to create systems that are crime-proof? Lakshmi Subramanian finds out.
A $3.2 billion conglomerate comprising 34 companies and a brand that has best represented the changing face of India for over 9 decades. It is not easy for Rahul Bajaj to run this empire of 20,000 employees across countries and continents. The global business environment is challenging, competition is stiff, and then there is always the lurking risk of an internal fraud. While there are internal checks and balances in the system, Bajaj wants to be doubly sure, and so he is in favor of hiring external auditors.
Must be encouraged by the chairman that even the managing director downwards, who are the day-to-day management, they make a mistake, please bring it to my attention or to the board's attention, or nowadays to the audit committee's attention.
External audits are slowly making their mark as a means of detecting fraud. All thanks to Ramalinga Raju's confession of orchestrating what was one of India's biggest corporate scandals. That case brought the role of auditors under severe scrutiny. Since then, many companies have roped in external auditors. Currently, most frauds are detected through internal audits, anonymous calls and letters, and whistleblower policies. The role of internal checks and balances is important because the most vulnerable areas for companies include procurement and sales and distribution, which are plagued by employee theft, siphoning of stock by vendors, parallel importation and product diversion.
Fundamentally, with these three basic mechanisms of ERP, counting the stock physically, giving visibility to everyone in the system, and for writing off that stock that is not moving, we are able to monitor our stock very well.
Most white-collar crimes in the supply chain happen because of ineffective internal controls, poor inventory management systems, and weak due diligence in suppliers, vendors, and other third parties. Companies also run the risk of intellectual property fraud like parallel supply chains and counterfeit products. And then there are cases of phantom vendors or big rigging. To beat this, India Inc. is hiring specialized procurement professionals with sound pricing knowledge, market intelligence and negotiation skills, and doing a thorough background check on employees. Companies are also taking end-to-end control of their supply chains along with regular data analysis. These strong internal systems are giving them that extra confidence in controlling white-collar crimes.
We have, of course, got our own internal control systems. We have a strong internal audit system, and we have been totally technology users from the beginning. And I think those systems so far have proved pretty effective.
Apart from strong systems, most large companies have a fully established framework to monitor and ensure compliance of the company's code of conduct or code of ethics, and have a proper due diligence for board members and senior employees. Such checks are more important in the case of the banking and financial services sector. Most banks have enacted RBI's guidelines and put in place systems and procedures to control financial, identify money laundering and suspicious activities, and monitor high-value cash transactions. All banks also have Know Your Customer norms, which make it mandatory for verification of customer details such as valid identity and residence proof with documents like PAN card, passport and utility bills. Many banks also have a Chinese wall between their front office and back office operations.
This is a very paramount feature in any banking, and a complete segregation between the front office and the back office, where it's really the people who are selling the products, they interact with the customers, but there is a completely independent separate group then takes care of the operations and the technology and sends them the relevant statements. So I think one will just have to examine as to how robust that entire separation between front office and back offices in these kind of products.
The financial sector is most advanced and perhaps the most vulnerable when it comes to managing risks. Take for instance the case of the wealth management and the high net worth client business of this sector. Some of the products sold to these clients come under SEBI's portfolio management regulations, and banks can also inform the regulatory and enforcement agencies about high value and unusual transactions under the suspicious transaction reporting norms. but there are no specific regulations, and that's where the trouble is.
We, at least in HDFC Bank, are very clear that we don't do discretionary wealth management, which means that if we manage your wealth for you, we ask you for your risk profile, and we insist that you give us instructions at each time.
I think we have to move to an environment where essentially the focus is on product simplicity and at the end of the day doing the right things.
The IT sector too is striving to do these right things because data security is a key concern. So many companies frisk employees and ban mobile phones, pens, papers, cameras and pen drives in data-sensitive areas of the building. That's not all. Employees also have to sign non-disclosure agreements and attend courses on customer secrecy.
People go through training programs, they go through tests to be able to make sure that they are compliant, and there is a certification process that we do for people to say that A, I have understood the policy, I implement, and I am not aware, I have not violated, not I have seen any kind of a violation having taken place.
We give them examples of what can constitute IP fraud. We educate people on clauses that we have in our contracts with our customers and the kind of safeguards that we are required to maintain with our customers, etc.
But all this is not nearly enough because the strictest of controls can't ensure a zero fraud rate. Besides, detecting frauds cannot be viewed in isolation. It is as important to deal with it effectively. While Indian companies are known to take internal disciplinary action and solve these issues behind closed doors, many of them still shy away from legal proceedings. That's because they're afraid of the embarrassment and know that there is no quick legal recourse in these matters.
A better legal environment will go a long way in helping companies deal with white-collar criminals. That and more is coming up after this short break. Stay with us.